This podcast was recorded on Thursday, May 9th with Bruce Harple, VP of Delivery. Our subject was project team collaboration. Bruce gave us a overall definition, and then he went in some functional areas for this, including team alignment, communication, execution, and inspecting and adapting. This podcast will be especially pertinent to folks who are in the PMO as well as professional services organizations. Thanks for listening and enjoy. Hi, and welcome to the Work Together Better podcast. This is your host, Danny Ryan. This is Three Wheels' official podcast about enterprise collaboration, how people, process, and technology combine to help organizations, departments, and teams work together better. I am here with Bruce Harple, VP of Delivery for Three Wheel. How are you doing, Bruce?
I am doing great, Danny, man. Glad to be here.
Excellent. We're here to talk about the subject of project team collaboration.
That is it.
All right, let's dig into this. First things first, let's start with some definitions. What are we talking about when we're talking about project team collaboration?
Yeah, so what we're talking about, and really what kind of led to all this too is, as you know, we're applying 4DX to Three Wheel, right? The 4 disciplines of execution. Mm-hmm. And one of the teams inside of Three Wheel is all the project managers and scrum masters, right? And as we talked about kind of what are some of the things that we could do in the area of collaboration, because that's a big area of focus for our company. We talked about project team collaboration, right? And we feel like we're pretty good at it. And we got some pretty good technologies out there that we use to facilitate and to apply to the way we collaborate. As a project team. So
yes, our kids are pretty awesome looking, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Everybody thinks they're awesome, but yeah, I agree. There's certain there's certain areas that we focus in on, and that's definitely one. And when you do it for so long and you have smart people, you just naturally get good at it.
Yeah. So one of the things that we want to do is, our goal is to develop an ultimate guide. Project team collaboration, right?
Ultimate guides. I think
I've heard of. You've heard that term before?
I've heard of that term before.
Yeah.
Yes.
Somebody coined that. I don't know who it was.
It wasn't me. I reuse everything, 100% of everything.
But to your question, Danny, I mean, just to kind of start out with the basics. See, it's kind of what we asked ourselves, as our team internally. What is team collaboration? What's that mean? And we didn't create this definition. We kind of looked out, on the web and looked at what people said about it. But I think there was one definition that was really, really simple that we think nailed it. And that definition is 2 or more people working together towards shared goals. That's a definition of collaboration. And if you break it down, right, so it's 2 or more people. That's a team, right? Working together, so that implies there's some kind of a process. There's a method to the madness, right? There's a way that you're going to work together and divide work up and assign tasking, but still have that common goal, right? And then towards a shared goal, right? So that means you have purpose, you have objectives, and you have end results that you're trying to go after, right?
Yep.
So
it's you saying this is reminiscent of probably the multiple times that Tommy and I have talked about where did the name Three Wheel come from. And core to that is the concept of 1 + 1 = 3. And that's just 2 people. There are times in which you work together with other people and that 1 + 1 = 1.5 or sometimes less than 1.
Right.
And you're thinking of what are the things that as a team that we're working together where you have there's the overused words or synergy, but just something more than 1 + 1 = 2 and something greater than the sum of its parts. And that was sort of the underlying idea for the name of Three Wheel. So and it's collaboration. So I'm right here with you, Bruce. Keep talking.
Yeah, no. So, that was kind of where we started, right? So that's kind of the basis for, okay, so if that's collaboration, now let's take it, start peeling the onion back a little bit. So, then what we decided is, we want to talk about this kind of project team collaboration.
Mm.
So yeah, and when we started breaking it down, we started looking at and what people will see. So this is this is the preview,
Okay.
right?
You just get me excited,
I'm just
huh?
getting you excited, right? and we're really targeting this at Scrum Masters, project managers, PMO organizations,
Yep.
right? PMO
Yep.
offices. That's really who this is being targeted towards. And so what we're going to do in this guide, right, is we're going to kind of take that simple definition
Mm-hmm.
and put a little bit more meat around it as it relates to what does that mean when you talk about project team collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to kind of look at kind of industry standard kind of guiding principles for project team collaboration. What are some of the key principles that anybody should or want to apply, right, as
Mm-hmm.
they're working together. And examples of guiding principles would be the work is open and transparent to everyone on the team. The project scope and goals are known to all project participants. Everybody on the project has access to the same data from anywhere, any place, anytime, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of get what we're headed towards here. So we want to kind of lay out just guiding principles that
Mm-hmm.
apply to any kind of project, right? It doesn't have to be a technology project, a professional services project.
Yep.
It could be marketing,
Yeah.
right? Has a project to release a new service, release a new product, right? And that takes
Mm-hmm.
a team, right? Of people collaborating together to create
Yep.
the messaging behind that, the promotions, the pricing,
Yep.
all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to take that and then take it a step further and kind of identify best practices. So
Okay.
here's guiding principles, which are more, that's the abstracted, motherhood and apple pie kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
Then start to lay out kind of best practices, for project team collaboration. And then we're going to kind of get into these key functional areas, and that's where the meat is going to be
Mm-hmm.
as we pull together this ultimate guide to project team collaboration. So just trying to take it from a high level, break it down into smaller pieces, and then go after those small pieces and put more meat and content behind it. But ultimately, between the guiding principles, the best practices, functionally,
Mm-hmm.
how do teams collaborate together? What are the elements of that, right?
Yep.
But then how do you leverage a platform like Office 365, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you leverage that platform to really enable that collaboration, right? So that's kind of where we really want to go with this.
I
Right?
like where you're going with this. I mean, what you were just saying reminds me of the people process technology,
Mm-hmm.
which is the people piece of this sounds like sort of like the underlying, uh, you know, the underlying fundamentals of how we're going to work together as a team. We're going to be transparent. Everybody's going to have access to the shared goals together. And then the process piece of this, as we were preparing for this, we talked a lot about agile. We talked about agile and how
Mm-hmm.
that fits into this as well. And then, man, we like talking about the technology just because we're nerds like that. And
Absolutely.
that's sort of, in the end, we're building solutions for clients. So talking about how this might fit into the Microsoft stack and what are the different building blocks that we have to enable this.
Yeah, and we took, as we thought about this as a team, we took a lot of the agile concepts, right,
Uh-huh.
and principles that you follow with agile, and really applied a lot of that to our thinking, because we view ourselves as an agile shop, not just in how we deliver to customers,
Uh-huh.
but really in everything that we do.
Yep.
We're big believers in inspecting, adapting,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of getting better at what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Not just in how we deliver, but just in how we collaborate, how we work together. Because we want to work together better internally as well as we want to help our customers work together better.
Yep.
So
Yep.
we've you'll see as we roll this out, you'll see a lot of agile concepts kind of baked into this.
Mm-hmm.
But we're big believers of that, and we've had great success with it. So
Nice. Very nice. What's next?
So I wanted to kind of just, as a primer, right? So, what we're going to be doing, during the course of this year is releasing several kind of podcasts, blog posts, kind of releasing more and more content behind this ultimate guide to project team collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I wanted to kind of just give everybody a sense for what to expect, right? So there's kind of 4 key areas that we're going to go into this guide. And I'm going to go through them, quickly just to introduce them. And then you'll see this is where our content's going to be targeted. So, the first big area is what we're calling team alignment, right? And team alignment is all about setting your vision, your purpose, your scope. How you go approach the project. It's really kind of the planning, kind of what you think of traditional kind of project planning in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Your team organization. What are the guiding principles for that specific project, right? um, timeline, milestones, budget. So really kind of the team alignment is kind of everything you do. You have to really stand up a project, get the team together, decide how you're going to work together,
Mm-hmm.
setting the ground rules and kind of getting organized, right? So that's kind of the first big functional area of project team collaboration. The next one is just communication,
Okay.
right? So how do we communicate textually? How do we communicate, you know, via audio, via video, right? Obviously, with all the technology today, there's lots of ways to communicate. Um, and then just alerting and notifications, right? What do we want to do in the way of making sure that everyone on the team is aware of key decisions that have been made, key changes in scope. How do we make that alerting and notification very, very quick, instantaneous, so that
Mm-hmm.
everybody always knows what's going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of in the big bucket of communications, right? And then there's execution, which is the meat. And Danny, we're talking about
Mm-hmm.
before we started, where does Agile fit into this, right? And that's really in the execution. That's your DevOps. How do you organize? How do you lay out tasking? How do you define deliverables for each milestone? And how do you kind of manage that, right? But this is also where you get into document management, co-authoring, commenting
Mm-hmm.
as you go on a document, so the team can collaborate and rally around deliverables,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you can make them better and better and better because everybody's working. Multiple people can work on the same, kind of deliverable if it's a document-based deliverable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but getting into task management, getting into budget management, change management, risk management, right? That's all the stuff. Some of that's project management 101, right? But we're trying to get it organized in a way that says this is execution. Here are the elements of it, and like I said, we're going to get into how do we enable that with some technology. And then the last area, right, using our agile terminology, is inspection and adaption, right? So it's about retrospectives. It's about knowledge management, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do I capture what I'm learning as I go through this process, right? So that I can then share that with others in the organization and continue to get better at what we do, right? And then just really kind of reporting, dashboarding, having radiators, things that
Mm-hmm.
tell us how we're doing. Tell us how we're doing. Tell the customer how we're doing, or whoever you're delivering to, right? So, those are the four big buckets. Again, it's kind of team alignment,
Mm-hmm.
communication, execution, inspection, and adaption. Those are the big elements, and that's what you're going to start to see us rolling out.
In this, so we're since being a Microsoft partner and sort of, I know our background, and maybe people listening to this might not know our background. We, our focus has primarily been on a lot of the collaborative technologies like SharePoint and more
Mm-hmm.
recently Teams and other associated technologies that are involved with this. Right off, I'm seeing as you're talking about some of this, I think somebody look at project team collaboration. They're gonna think Microsoft Project, which I don't think. How's that? Like this, we're talking more about the enabling collaboration across a team. This isn't like Microsoft. What's the relationship to the technology of Microsoft Project to this? Does that have anything to do with this at all?
It could. So when you get into the execution
Mm-hmm.
component, right, the way you execute and the way you can use technology to help you manage the execution could be through Microsoft Project.
Okay.
Microsoft Project tends to be a more waterfall type of a project management tool,
Mm-hmm.
versus an agile tool. Uh, but that is one tool, right, that you could use to help manage execution.
Mm-hmm.
And there's other tools like Planner,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
In Office 365, there's Azure DevOps, right? That we know we use for Agile, and you can actually set up planner boards inside of Azure DevOps. So Project
Yeah.
is just another tool you
That
could leverage to help you, uh, manage your execution.
we on marketing don't use Azure DevOps at all.
It's not too late.
No. And how do you see? So we're going to be building up content around, I guess, particularly around these different areas.
That's right.
And then is this how does this, is this just helping the typical project that we're going to be, is this, do you see this as being like a service offering in the end? Or is this, what do you see customers will be reaching out to us to help them with project team collaboration? Or is this more of, this folds into the typical, we're helping you build out a digital workplace or an intranet, and this is sort of like our underlying philosophy of this is sort of like core to what we're doing for a digital workplace, which is you're enabling project team collaboration. I'm just trying to, I guess in my mind, fit this into sort of like the terminology that we use today, the types of projects that we have today, and how does this roll into, I'm a marketing guy and I'm an assimilator. I'm sort of like taking this, where you're going with this and trying to fit it into where we, not just where we are today, but where we're going over the course of this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately, there's kind of two deliverables out of this. One would be the guide, right, which will be a document, as you know, to kind of lay all this out. But the other thing is, I think we do want to have a service offering, that might start out with just a simple, assessment and maybe some proof of concepts.
Okay.
So looking at an organization, and how they organize around their projects, right? Because everybody could be a little bit different. We want to understand and respect that. But really trying to understand and assess how people are working today, or how an organization is working today, as it relates to a project-based, initiative. And then really going, to and using some of the technology to show them different ways that they can apply technology to make that project team collaboration, more effective and more efficient. So, and ultimately leading up to, maybe there is an engagement where we help kind of set up, their Office 365, and it could be a subset of your digital workplace, right? It's just how project teams collaborate and work together, right? And really kind of taking the different elements of Office 365 and applying that where it makes sense, right? Because there's, as you know, there's a lot in Office 365. There's a lot in that platform. There's a lot in Azure. So it's really taking what makes sense for each individual customer, and helping them, implement it in a way that makes sense to them, that fits into their culture, their process, for getting work done. But really trying to help them automate it and get more effective and efficient at it, and collaborating better together, right? That's what we want to do at the end of the day.
I think this is right away. I think we end up categorizing a lot of the different types of projects that we do. This sounds like it's one towards I like the idea of focusing in on the PMO. And this reminds me of recent conversations. We had a podcast with Tricia Mercado, who's working in a PMO right now, and we were talking about collaboration in the PMO, which this is all sort of reminiscent of some of the things that we were talking about with her. So it'd be interesting. Well, I know there's other existing clients that we have where we have relationships with folks in the PMO. So
absolutely,
it would be good. I'm always for the more collaboration is such a broad topic.
It is.
If we can figure out like certain key people within, whether everybody thinks we'll come up with some sort of industry solution. Well, let's pick a department. Let's pick somebody within the organization, and how can they get their hands on this and get the value out of it, and talk about things that they can do and move forward with. So I'm glad to hear you guys this is an area that you're focusing in on. I think it's great.
Yeah, I think the team is excited about it. I think we're, again, we feel like we're pretty good at doing project team collaboration. We really are trying to look at ways we can leverage Office 365 to be more effective at what we do. Both kind of inter-team collaboration, but also collaborating with the customer. So as you know, there's a lot of collaboration that takes place between us and our customers, and they're part of the team, right? It's one big integrated team. So, and I think through proof of concepts, through things that we're doing, there's a lot we can show people.
That reminds me. I was just talking about different industries. This might be something that, in general, professional services firms would be interested in. This it's help them out with what we do. It's one of those things that why not? It's if we can get them, us being a smaller, probably because we're smaller, can allow for innovation really to flourish just naturally, because as you're smaller, you can move faster. can help out some larger professional services organizations with what they do. And that'd be interesting to see if we get some traction there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else before we wrap up?
That is it, man. I'm just trying to whet everybody's appetite and to say there's more to come.
I like getting people excited about things.
Yep.
I'm all about it. I look forward to covering these topics later on this year. Sounds like you're doing this as a team, so
we are
soliciting the help of some other folks to produce some of this content, and I love it. Thank you. Also, just since I'm sitting here with you, I have to have my quarterly thank you for all that you do, Bruce. You're awesome. I'm amazed with what we hear back from customers, and knock on wood, we're still at 100 with our NPS score. I know I'm going to probably jinx us there with that, but it's incredible what you guys do. I just want to encourage you to keep doing it and keep being successful on every project.
We have an amazing team, an amazing group of people here, so proud to be here.
Yep, awesome. Well, thank you, Bruce, for doing this. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and have a wonderful day. Thank you for listening to the Work Together Better podcast. We're available on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, and TuneIn. If you're looking for a partner to help you craft a modern digital workplace on the Microsoft Cloud, please come by and see us at 3will.com. That's the number 3 spelled out, WILL.com. Thank you and have a great day.